Hello, everybody. It may be a day late, but it's not a dollar short. It is another episode in our WCW What If series in TEW 2020. I, of course, am CR Daredevil, bringing you all of the live action as we are 13 days out from Bash at the Beach 1996. The big show that is building up, including the rematch for the WCW World's Heavyweight Championship, Bam Bam Bigelow defending against Sting. We also have potentially the big 8-man, it is kind of official at this point that we do have the big 8-man tag team matchup with Steve Austin, the Road Warriors, and the returning Johnny B. Bad taking on the NWO, among other things here on the road to Bash at the Beach. And there's really only one thing to do, and that's dive into the action. We open up Nitro in front of 10,981 people in the Kansas Coliseum with Roddy Piper opening up Nitro back in his office. He says that he's had enough with Sting, Lex Luger, and Harlem Heat consistently fighting each other at this point. He says that he's also had enough of Harlem Heat complaining about not getting a tag title shot. He's heard it enough, and he's tired of it. He's done with it. So tonight, he makes everyone happy. Luger and Sting want a piece of Harlem Heat, then they're going to get one tonight. Harlem Heat wants a title shot, they're going to get it tonight. Tonight, in the main event here at WCW Monday Nitro, it is going to be Bam Bam Bigelow and Vader defending the WCW World Tag Team Championships against Harlem Heat and against Lex Luger and Sting. So that is a huge, huge main event matchup, featuring 3 teams going at it for the WCW World Tag Team titles. We're going to have to see what happens with that, but before we get to the main event, we've got a whole show to go through, including some more story development when it comes to the United States Championship. Last week, Dustin Rhodes won the shot at Brian Pillman's United States Championship at Bash at the Beach. Of course, we have a whole bunch of other stuff to go over as well. After this opening segment, we go backstage to Chris Jericho with Mean Gene, and he is asked about his television title matchup at Bash at the Beach. Of course, last week we found out it will be Chris Jericho and Alex Ray one-on-one for the vacant television championship, and Jericho decides to refer to Okerlund as Scheme Gene, says he's thankful that the dress-wearing Roddy Piper gave him an opportunity to be the rock star that Chris Jericho is, and that he's going to have no problem being Alex Wright and becoming the new WCW television champion. 66 rating for the segment. Good stuff there. Obviously, it was a little bit longer of a promo in general, but this is kind of the highlights of it. But yeah, strong segment rating heading into that match at Bash at the Beach. After that, we have an opening contest featuring the Rock and Roll Express defeating Simply Wonderful in 656 when Robert Gibson pinned Sean Stasiak with a missile dropkick after William Wesson came out and distracted Paul Orndorff, the Outlaws. William Wesson and Brett Smith having issues with Simply Wonderful recently, and so Wesson getting a little bit of revenge for that. 62 rating for the match itself. Sean Stasiak was a weak link and did get a 41, so he is improving. He was getting like 20s and 30s for a while there, so he is improving. But Rock and Roll Express getting a victory here against another tag team here in WCW. Remember, they've recently came out and said that they look forward to having the challenges of competing here in the WCW tag team division here in 1996 and get a victory here tonight. After that, we have a backstage segment where Roddy Piper is approached by the Blue Bloods. And Lord Steven Regal actually thanks Roddy Piper for the opportunity last week for the World's Heavyweight Championship match, and says that next time he's going to make sure he gets the job done. Piper says that despite the differences he's had with Regal in the past, he sees Regal as a future WCW World Heavyweight Champion. That's why he thinks that Regal should be focusing more on a singles career, not necessarily forgetting about teaming with Eaton. You know, he still enjoys watching the Blue Bloods perform here in WCW. but that he should be taking more time to try to focus on being a single star in WCW. Earl Robert Dean takes a little bit of offense to this, and Piper says, "I'm not saying that this is the thing, I'm just simply suggesting something." He walks off with Eaton kind of in shock, saying that he can't believe Piper would suggest something like that, and Regal kind of pondering what Piper said a little bit there. 80 rating. Yeah, kind of an interesting segment there. We're kind of seeing a little bit of a, I guess you don't want to call it respect or anything like that, but we are kind of seeing that Piper actually does see potential in Lord Steven Regal, but he sees potential. He sees more potential in him as a single star than as a tag team wrestler. So we'll have to see if that leads to anything. After that, we have Sting and Lex Luger backstage with Gene Okerlund talking about the main event. Sting says that they need to focus on winning the match tonight, not their issues with Harlem Heat. They need to focus on becoming the new WCW World Tag Team Champions. And Luger says that he can focus on the victory and take it to Harlem Heat tonight as well. There's no issues there at all. Gene Okerlund, because that it's something that the company is talking about a lot right now, Gene Okerlund kind of brings up this NWO group to Sting and Luger. Kind of tries to get their opinions about it, tries to get their thoughts about it. Sting says that he's been keeping his eye on them, especially with what they've been doing so far, but that he does have trust in Steve Austin to be able to keep them from being an issue here in WCW. Luger doesn't really say anything about the NWO. Kind of steers the interview back to the main event. Tells Gene that the next time that Gene sees them, they will be the new WCW World Tag Team Champions. So, a little bit of a comment about the NWO there, but kind of almost, I don't want to say forgotten about, but kind of just pushed to the side as Sting and Luger are focused on the main event and getting the shot at the tag titles. After that, and about that, great heat and good wrestling, that is, and good heat. Cactus Jack defeated Al Snow in 532 by pinfall with a double arm DDT. This match basically got kind of announced as a no holds barred match, and kind of was just a chaotic, wild brawl the entire time. Kind of more of a hardcore, chaotic kind of match happening. But Cactus Jack showing this a little bit darker side of him, not necessarily like full on dark, but just a little bit more darker side of him. Able to get the victory here against Al Snow in 5.5 minutes. 90 rating from Cactus, 57 from Al Snow. After the match, though, Randy Savage hits the ring to try to attack Cactus Jack, but Jack smartly throws Al Snow in the way of Randy Savage. Savage attacks Al Snow for colliding with him, getting him in his way, but this distracts him enough for Cactus to drill him in the back with a steel chair. Savage then ends up going to the outside, and Cactus gets a mic yelling that if Savage wants to unleash the madness, then he'll be ready for him in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Savage is yelling at Cactus, but it's not picked up on a mic at all, as the commentators put over these two fighting in this type of matchup. So, kind of officially announces that at Bash of the Beach, it will be Cactus Jack and Randy Savage one-on-one, but this time, no disqualifications, Falls Count Anywhere. Gotta imagine these two are going to end up all over the arena that night. Gonna be absolutely chaotic. We'll have to see where things go from there. But, yeah, definitely going to be a crazy and chaotic match for sure. After that, we go backstage to the American Males, being interviewed by Gene Okerlund, and they kind of talk about the recent lack of success. Scotty Riggs kind of mentions that, yeah, he knows. He knows they've been struggling. They haven't won as a team in months. In fact, I went and looked, and the last time they won as a tag team was back in March, so 4 months now. However, that's the wrestling business sometimes. Sometimes you're on a big winning streak, sometimes you're not. Sometimes you're on a losing streak. Okerlund asked Bagwell for his opinion, but Bagwell just doesn't say anything before slowly walking away. So, interesting stuff there between the American Males. Kind of going to have to see what that develops into. If anything, that is. We go back to the ring, and we've got Jesse James Armstrong getting a victory over Big Bubba Rogers in 6:59 by pinfall to shake, rattle, and roll. 59 rating for the match. 55 from Jesse James, 65 from Big Bubba Rogers. Essentially, just Jesse James Armstrong getting a little bit of momentum back after losing that match last week to Chris Jericho in the TV title tournament. Yeah, 59 rating is not too bad. Not great, but Not too bad indeed. After that, we are backstage with Diamond Dallas Page and Ric Flair. Paige is hyping up being in the Horsemen once again. He is so excited. He's glad to be in the Horsemen. He's super excited about all this, but Flair cuts him off. Flair says that Paige is still needing to prove that he deserves to be a Horseman. Therefore, he talked to Piper, and at Bash of the Beach, it is going to be a 6-man tag team matchup. Now, Pillman is obviously busy fighting Dustin Rhodes for the United States Championship, so Ric Flair says that Diamond Dallas Page will be trying to prove himself as a Horseman on that night, as it will be Ric Flair, Chris Benoit, and Diamond Dallas Page against Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, and Ron Simmons at that show. Page seems kind of unsure about this matchup. Says that he's not sure what that gains for anybody involved. But Flair says that Page needs to prove that he can represent excellence. That is why he also, during that conversation with Piper, set up a matchup that for later tonight. That'll be Diamond Dallas Page taking on Dean Malenko. Page is not too happy about that, but says that if that's what it takes to prove he should be a Horseman, then he will do what's necessary. So later tonight, we're going to have Diamond Dallas Page and Dean Malenko one-on-one in what should be a very good back-and-forth matchup there. 99 rating for the segment. Great stuff with these two when it comes to promos, as usual. After that, we get an NWO video where the NWO show no worry at all about Johnny B. Bad being the fourth member of the opposing team for the match at Bash of the Beach. Ted DiBiase kind of jokes about how money would have bought a far better talent for them, because of course, that's kind of one of their big selling points is that they have the money to do whatever they want. Paul Levesque says he's more worried about what he's going to be having for breakfast that morning. And Sean Waltman kind of mockingly mentions that they should be worried about the Road Warriors, which causes laughter among the group as well. Paul Levesque says that if this was the 80s, then maybe those Mad Max ripoffs would be worthy of their attention. However, he's going to show tonight in his Nitro debut that Austin made bad choices in picking his allies, as it gets announced that Paul Levesque will be making his in-ring Nitro debut, as he will be taking on Road Warrior Hawk up next on Nitro. This got a 70 rating, not too bad. Okay, I keep getting Jerry Lynn over a little bit more with his stats, but otherwise, pretty good video from them. And then the match itself gets a 74 rating, as Paul Levesque in 8:19 defeats Road Warrior Hawk with what we know is the pedigree. I gotta figure out whether I'm actually gonna keep it called that or if I'm gonna give it a different name. But we know it as a pedigree, and that gets the victory. Ted DiBiase provided a distraction for Paul Levesque during the matchup. Like I said, 74 rating there. 69 from Hawk, nice, and 63 from Levesque. Paul Levesque benefiting from having a hot new move. I don't know what his hot new move is, but Paul Levesque remaining undefeated here in WCW, getting a victory now over Road Warrior Hawk. After the match, I did not get a chance to. I realized after I put the segment in that I didn't get a chance to put a description in here, but essentially it's just a big old brawl that happens. Everybody from the back, like the NWO, comes down and tries to beat up on Road Warrior Hawk, and then that's when Animal, Johnny B. Bad, and Steve Austin come out to try to even up things, and both sides just end up fighting with each other 13 days out from their matchup at Bash of the Beach. So, they're just fighting with each other at this point. Only got a 68 because a few of the people in this were not rated too high on fighting or selling. So I had to kind of take what I could with it. But to be fair, it's not like the heat for this storyline is going to be lowered too much heading into the pay-per-view. But big old brawl that doesn't really give one side more of an advantage over the other, because it's more of like security comes out to separate both sides before one side really has an advantage over the other at this point. Go to a commercial break. We come back. We have Rikishi fought 2 backstage with Gene Okerlund. Says he knows that he is up against a monster in the Giant. However, he grew up watching smaller guys get picked on by bigger guys all the time and always tried to come to their aid. Always tried to come to the aid of the smaller guys. So it'd be hypocritical of him to not try to fight the bigger guy nowadays when all those smaller guys are watching him and all that. He says the Giant may be big, but Fatu isn't someone that can be pushed around that easily. With the heart that Fatu has, he'll bring everything he has to the eventual match to show that size doesn't always matter in a fight. So a bit of a generic babyface promo from Rikishi Fatu here, but it kind of gets the point across. He's not afraid of the Giant. He's not worried about the size difference. He's going to bring everything he has and then some to their eventual match. Doesn't really announce here whether it's going to be happening at Bash of the Beach or not. Haven't fully decided that yet, but yeah, they're going to have a match at some point in the near future. After that, Diamond Dallas Page is in the ring waiting for his matchup when Eddie Guerrero and Dean Malenko come out. Guerrero announces that Malenko is injured and cannot compete tonight. However, Roddy Piper did agree to a replacement that Eddie Guerrero suggested, none other than Ron Simmons. Crowd's going crazy. Paige is absolutely freaking out as Simmons comes charging down to the ring. Of course, remember last week he got attacked by Paige and Flair backstage, so he is all sorts of fired up for this matchup that he's going to have one-on-one with Diamond Dallas Page. This guy's 74. Pretty good stuff there. The match itself gets an 80 rating. Good stuff. As Ron Simmons defeats Diamond Dallas Page in 7:19 by pinfall, the Dominator. 73 from Page, 68 from Simmons. Lost heat for storylines, but that's all right. I'll still take it. If an 80 rated matchup is losing me heat for storylines, I think the storylines are doing pretty good. But Ron Simmons gets a clean victory despite Ric Flair trying to get involved because, of course, Eddie Guerrero and Dean Malenko also kind of kept Flair from getting involved. After the match, Flair and Benoit joined ringside partway through the match. They come and get Paige after the match, kind of helping him out to the back. Flair kind of expressing disappointment in the loss as Simmons celebrates in the ring with Guerrero and Malenko. So originally, when I pre-booked this show, or not pre-booked it, but when I pre-planned out this show, Dean Malenko and Diamond Dallas Page were going to go at it one-on-one, and then I don't remember if it happened before last Nitro or if it happened in between the last Nitro and this Nitro. But at some point over the last couple weeks, Malenko got injured at a house show, and I completely forgot about it. So that's why I had to quickly change the match to versus Ron Simmons. Simply because I didn't want to run Eddie and Diamond Dallas Page again at the moment. So we ran Simmons and Page again, and it got an 80 rating, which is pretty good. But the Horsemen and Page kind of head up the ramp as the faces celebrate in the ring, and kind of go from there. Then after that, we go backstage where Dustin Rhodes is hanging out, and Barry Windham shows up. Windham congratulates Dustin on the victory last week and getting the shot at the United States Championship at the pay-per-view. Then offers to watch Dustin's back based off the fact that they have a bit of history with each other. For those who don't know, Dustin Rhodes and Barry Windham, at the time it was NWA, but former WCW World Tag Team Champions. You have to go back a few years from this point. In fact, they were champions back around like 91, 92, but they were tag team champions for a good little while there. So he's kind of offering to watch his back based off the history because he knows that the Horsemen aren't going to come out there alone. And Dustin says that he appreciates the offer, knowing that the Horsemen will be there in Pillman's corner. So they kind of acknowledge each other as the segment comes to an end. So we're going to have Dustin Rhodes is going to have backup in the form of Barry Windham at the pay-per-view. I'm not sure if Kendall will be there too, but he'll have backup in the form of Barry Windham, and we'll have to see where things go from there for that. Then after that, we go to the ring for the main event. And in a 77 rated matchup, kind of hoping for a little bit better, but I'll take it. About to have fantastic heat and great wrestling. Vader and Bam Bam Bigelow defeat Harlem Heat and Luger and Sting in a triple threat tag team matchup in 1352 when Vader pinned Stevie Ray. Vader and Bam Bam making defense number 3 of the World Tag Team titles. Stevie Ray was a weak link. Only had a 66 in-ring performance, 78 from Booker T, which is probably the best performance he's had in ring in this entire series, at least to my knowledge. 77 from Luger, 85 from Sting, 80 from Vader, 86 from Bam Bam Bigelow. Bam Bam Bigelow once again outperforming Sting. Kind of weird. But yeah, Bam Bam Bigelow and Vader, that is, getting the big victory here tonight in the main event of Nitro. No post-match shenanigans or anything like that. Just Bam Bam Bigelow and Vader celebrating to get that they got the victory. And actually, now that I'm looking at it, Bam Bam Bigelow might have outperformed Sting only because he got the bonus for the tag team, for the great chemistry with the tag team. But still, he did outperform them in their one-on-one matchup too, so might be something. But anyway, Bam Bam Bigelow still a double champion here in WCW, and Bigelow and Vader still the World Tag Team Champions. 13 days out from Bash at the Beach. Nitro ends with that, and we get an 85 rating. Let's go. I'll keep taking it. Admittedly, I'm a little confused about this week's because outside of that Diamond Dallas Page and Ric Flair promo, everything else was definitely below an 85. So I'm not sure what landed us an 85, but I'll take it. I will take it. Increased popularity in 36 regions. Continuing to increase popularity across the board like the freaking rock stars that WCW is at this point. We've got all the momentum going for us, which also might, I don't know if TEW set up that way, but the momentum thing might be helping boost our show ratings a little bit as well. Because I know pre-booking for TV shows doesn't boost your TV show or your show rating. To boost your attendance, and that's what's been happening there. Like our attendance has been getting a boost recently because we've been pre-booking stuff ahead of time. I pre-booked the triple threat tag title match before Nitro happened. WWF with a couple of hires to show here really quick. They hired the Honky Tonk Man in 1996. They hired Barry Darsow in 1996. And they hired former WCW superstar Brian Clark in 1996. I ended up dropping Brian Clark shortly after his little brief thing with Diamond Dallas Page, just because there wasn't really much of a future with him. He wasn't really getting too better that quickly. Granted, I only had him for a few months, but he wasn't really getting a whole lot better, and it was kind of one of those things that I just didn't really see too much with him heading forward. Arn Anderson retiring kind of changed my stories as well, or not retiring, but just kind of leaving, changed my stories as well, because there were plans in motion to eventually start getting somebody prepared to take Arn Anderson's spot in the Horsemen, but it kind of got fast forwarded and changed when he just kind of disappeared. So that's why Paige kind of got put in that role. Paige was not originally my number one pick when it came to becoming the fourth member of the Horsemen. At least when I was coming up with the idea for Arn Anderson to start training a replacement, I guess, so for him, so to speak. Diamond Dallas Page was not my number one pick on that, but then that pick changed to something else, and then something else kind of changed, and then kind of left myself with Paige becoming available. So sometimes the little things change your plans in TEW. But enough of my rambling. As once again, despite only getting 1 point better than Raw this week, once again dominating in the viewership, 4.273 million, whereas Raw had 2.528 million. They had a main event. Their show was a little bit better this time. They had a main event, Diesel and The Undertaker defeating Owen Hart and Warrior. They also had Shawn Michaels defeating Yokozuna, Tatanka, and Jerry Lawler in a four-way, which is interesting. So, kind of some interesting stuff there, but definitely not as many segments as us, but I think their shows are only an hour at this point, whereas we're running 2 hours. Their shows might be an hour and a half, actually, whereas we're running 2 hours for sure. But that is enough of my random rambling. Once again, another win for the good guys, as you will, as we head into the final week of July, and we will have the go-home episode of Nitro and the Bash at the Beach itself. I hope you guys are excited for that show. Like I said, announced for that show at this point in time is, of course, Chris Benoit, Diamond Dallas Page, and Ric Flair taking on Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, and Ron Simmons in a triple threat, or a 6-man tag match, that is, sorry. We've got Dustin Rhodes versus Brian Pillman for the WCW United States Championship. We have Alex Wright versus Chris Jericho for the Television Championship. We have the New World Order taking on Steve Austin, the Road Warriors, and Johnny B. Bad. And, of course, the big one in the main event, Sting challenging Bam Bam Bigelow for the WCW World's Heavyweight Championship. And we also have, I didn't put it as a pre-book yet, but announced it during the show that it's going to be Randy Savage and Cactus Jack in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Looking to probably add 1, if not 2 more matches to that list. I can tell you right now, slight spoiler alert, I can tell you right now that Rikishi, Fatu, and the Giant will not be having their match at the pay-per-view. They will be having an interaction at the pay-per-view, but it will not be a match. I have plans for that in the near future, but yeah, probably looking to add 1 or 2 more matches onto that card, and we'll kind of see how that plays out from there. But thank you for watching. Definitely appreciate it. Definitely appreciate all the support you continue to have for this series and everything else, including all my new stuff that I've been put out on the channel, including the WWE 2K22 My GM series that we started, the SmackDown 2 season mode that we started, and the Monday Night Wars How Would TEW book series thing that we started. So a lot of crazy stuff happening in the channel, or on the channel. Basically daily videos at this point now, it seems like. So that's also awesome. Definitely appreciate it. And we'll catch you guys next week for our go home episode of Monday Nitro.